To celebrate our 1-year anniversary,
Woo!
we're going to talk about... Wait, what are we going to talk about?
Video games!
Transformers.
No, guys. We're going to talk about the easiest thing to talk about. Us.
I think that's the hardest thing.
Boobs.
That's what she said.
Idiots. So today, we're going to do things a little bit different. Not only in what we're going to be talking about, but also the way we're going to be editing. So keep this in mind, guys. We're not going to be editing. This is what it's like to watch us, or listen to us talk, rather, with no music and no cuts. So we can get really boring, or it can be really fun.
We talk real pretty one day.
So get it out of your system now. Get it out of your system now.
Okay, so you want us to talk about ourselves? What are we going to talk about ourselves for what? For how long? What?
Rob, nobody loves you more than you love yourself. So I know that you could go on for more than an hour talking about just your morning or what you did.
Let me tell you
No,
what I did.
really, it's just how all this came together and why we do it is what I wanted to talk about.
All right, so what you're saying is origin story.
Yeah, without Wolverine.
Shit. Wolverine is in
And
all
not-
of our origin stories. All of us were brought together by how Wolverine interacted with us in our lives.
This is probably true. So I'll start it. I'll break the ice.
So he gets to tell us all about his corn husks.
Please, in Peru. And the alpaca jackets.
I'll break the ice with how this idea came about. Was about 2005. Dan and I.
We've had this idea since 2005.
Wow, really?
Really?
You just took this long to tell us? Forget you guys.
All right, no. So backtrack a little bit. Dan and I met in high school. We were friends. We collected Transformers. I put glue on one of his
No,
Transformers.
you put gum.
Gum, my
on
bad.
slag.
Disrespect to
Slag! What did you... I think someone stole my slag. Was that you?
But the beauty of it is that he actually remembers this story.
The end of our last episode of this series, the shot is going to be me taking a piece of gum out of my mouth and putting it on slag.
Wait.
Whenever we are done doing this, that's the last shot.
I didn't want to put it
How
on
do
your
you know
carpet.
Dan hasn't already done this?
Have you checked your slag? Or so, maybe some snarl. You might want to check it too.
I'm able to sense the disturbance in the force when my toys are being bothered. Okay, so back in high school, you know, we shared the same common hobbies, like comic books and things like that. So fast forward a lot of
Andrew
years.
is also...
Oh yeah,
high
Andrew,
school.
our producer,
Behind the camera.
who's behind the camera, who is really our unsung hero, who is not doing any work right now other than switching cameras back and forth.
And he's not a real person. He's actually a bot.
It's too late. They've already seen him. So, fast forward a lot of years, like 2005.
Was it 2005?
2005, Dan had
Wow.
this idea of, hey, you know, you and I know a lot of stuff, and by that time you had written articles for magazines.
Yeah,
and-
so let me jump in there. So I did DragonBallToys.com from
98, I think.
Well, yeah, it was junior year of college, so 98 to about 2003, 2004.
Chala!
Yeah.
Chala!
He really was
So-
the
and that was-
Dragon Ball toy guy.
Yeah, I mean, what it started out with was I wanted to build a website, and then I was like, well, what am I going to build a website about? And I had just started collecting Dragon Ball Z stuff at the time, and there was no good information on the internet about, like, you know, what is there? And so I just basically started, like, pulling information from, like, ads and different things like that, and Omar, I mean, really, no, it really was. I mean, because he had so much of this stuff that I didn't.
And late 90s
And-
is when I was, like, learning to get into Dragon Ball and have the Mario people,
Yeah.
like, VHS tapes.
Right.
And I thought Goku and Vegeta and all these characters were the same dude because they all had spiky yellow hair. Yep.
But you know, I mean, it's no exaggeration to say that at that time, that site, I mean, I was kind of the
He really
person
was.
who knew this stuff just because I was the person who happened to build a website about it. And so there I got involved with Action Online, which was figures.com, which is still out there. And I ended up going to Toy Fair a bunch and San Diego Comic-Con with, you know, on press passes and stuff. And then Beckett Publications got in touch with me and said, hey, we want you to write a monthly column about Dragon Ball for our Dragon Ball Collector magazine. I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah, sure. And then when they stopped doing the Dragon Ball magazine and just rolled it into the anime magazine, I started writing about that, but I didn't have much to write about there because I never really got into the wider anime world. I mean, there were some other things that I enjoyed, but not to the extent that, you know, you were, obviously. So at some point, do you remember when it was? I said, you know who should write this for you? Is a guy named Omar Valdivieso. And so how long did you write for them?
Man, I wrote for Beckett Anime. It was probably about 5 or 6 years. And that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I got to go to a lot of places. I got to visit a lot of the toy companies. And I made a lot of lifelong friends because a lot of the PR people, like, I'm not kidding, like the lady that ran like Nippon Ichi, the lady that was at Dark Horse at the time, I literally got Berserk 1 through like 25 because they sent it to me for review. And that was the beauty of doing these things. So we decided to take that and be like, hey. So this is funny because this was like he invited me over. We had dinner. Yeah. Right at this fancy place called Olive Garden. And
I've been there once.
I don't know. Anyway, so we had dinner, and he was like, "Dude, let's do a website, but let's do something different. Let's also do a podcast." And at that time, 2005, I'm like, what the shit's a podcast? And he was like, well, it's kind of like a radio thing, but you listen to it on... And I was so fucking confused. I'm like, so my voice is going to be on the internet? Who the fuck wants to listen to me talk about toys?
So I convinced Omar to do this. And the first time he came over, we did it just the two of us. And then like, we did this every week for I got...
It was called About Heroes, by the way.
Yeah, and... thank you to the people who are watching this who followed us since About Heroes, because there are more than a few of you.
Thank you.
But I remember, week 2, I'm expecting Omar, and Omar comes in with 2 people.
Oh yeah.
And every week I never knew who Omar was going to bring with him, and it was great. I met some great people that way. But
Chris, a big Hollywood producer now, Boss Baby was #1 at the box office. Forever.
Yeah,
now he's doing that stuff, man, living the dream, and we're still stuck in Kentucky.
But we did that from 2005, and then I bowed out in 2008.
Somebody was being a bitch and wanted to go to law school and make more money.
Well, yeah, because I got out of web design and went to law school, and I was like, I got to focus on this. I can't have any distractions, at least this first year. And then you guys had pretty much... I think you guys.
I kept it running for about I kept the website running because I still had things I wanted to review, and I like getting free shit.
I still had stuff that I wanted to get for free
because it was so weird. Like I remember the first time I had to pay to get into a comic convention. I'm like, what? How much is it? Get the fuck out of here!
Oh, no.
I am not paying $40 to get in.
Like, I still have trouble waiting in lines at Comic-Con.
Right?
I can't imagine going to San Diego Comic-Con and actually waiting in those lines, because I thought the half-hour line that I had to wait in for my press pass was horrific.
How privileged could we be?
I know, it's like,
and I just
prima donna.
Yeah. And I mean, like, wait. You don't have a special area set aside for me to sit in this panel? I have to sit with the plebs?
So, at the time that I met Dan in high school, I also met Rob. Rob was working at a video game place.
Babbage's, America's Computer Software Quarters. And if we were editing, this is where we play the Babbage's clip.
So, yes.
I need to go back and count how many times you've actually said that.
I met Rob and our other friend, Shane, at the same time. Shane is now working at Sony. What? I see a trend here.
The people that leave Kentucky do follow their dreams.
So, anyway, Rob and I became, really good friends because we both shared video games and stuff like that.
And talking about
now, did you all meet at Babbage's?
Yeah, I was the type of customer to be like, hey man, your boy Shane said I could get this for $20 over at...
and I was like, forget Shane. I can make it 18 because we can go down like in $2 increments.
So Walden Software. Walden Software where he worked.
So Babbage's was cool because, we were kids back then. I think I was 16. I think I met you at 18.
I was probably 15. You're a little older.
Yeah, I was a little older. So,
now you're the same.
Now we've evened out. It's about the same because we're all in near mint condition, right? But it was cool because working there, the customer volume was consistent but not super high, and there would be 2 types of customers: people that came in to get their stuff and go, and then people want to talk about gaming, right? Yeah. So
talk to people. What?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Love talking to people. I mean, even today, how many years later, I ran to some of my older Babbage's customers, and they're like, Rob, how's it going? I'm like, oh my gosh, I met these people 20-some years ago, and they still remember my face because of Babbage's. But Omar was one of the guys who came in, and we just talked gaming stuff as long as I could until customers came up, or my manager started complaining about me talking to people too long.
But it was... it was a common love of the video games. Like we would go to an arcade. There was back then there was a Kentucky arcade, and I would always challenge him. The King of Fighters was always my game, and then him was always Street Fighter. But it was one of those things. So I was like, "Come on, man, let me kick your ass at King of Fighters," and he's like, "I'm gonna wipe your ass on the floor with fucking Street Fighter." And at the time, it was Street Fighter Alpha.
Street Fighter Alpha 1 or Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. So that's how we became friends. And then fast forward some years. I got to meet Tina, who lives in my neighborhood, of all places.
Through my wife.
Well, I met you at Babbage's and met him through high school. So
yeah, because my wife
I don't talk to my
home,
neighbors.
and she was like, Tina, you've got to meet this guy. He has a figure of Hikaru from Magic Knight Rares in his basement. I was like, drop everything. Where's this guy? We're going to walk by his house.
Let me tell you something. I've been waiting years for bitches to be like, oh my God, he has a Hikaru figure.
Your pipe dream came through, and it was a married chick. Sorry.
Yeah, then like 2 girls walked in. They're like, "Oh, it's
yes, 2 girls."
And I'm like, "Oh,
they're married.
They're married. Oh, that happens all the freaking time." It's like, "Oh, I've got a great friend I want to set you up with. You know, this is my wife, right? Never mind. All right.
So,
well, I mean, I can still set you up.
And like Omar, you're talking about Omar bringing random people over at random inopportune times. Every year at the Fox Manor, at the Fox Den, we have something called Video Game Armageddon, where because we're of the age where we don't get a chance to play games like we used to, we bring everyone together to play video games well into the night, 2, 3, 4 a.m. It's fine. So I always ask Omar, like, Omar, bring your cousins, because you have to bring your cousins, bring your brothers, you have to bring your brothers, and as long as the people don't steal, you can bring over random people too.
So he brings 2 little white girls, and he's like, I pulled them out of my basement.
So like, you know, this is one of those instances where you and your wife came over, and like, I remember we were playing, like, was it Vampire?
We played a couple things.
Werewolf.
It was
you guys were playing the card game.
We were playing Werewolf, and we were playing Mario Kart, and like, you and I were talking, I was like, I really like her. She's pretty cool. I'm going to put her in my basement.
I know you were like, you need to come over more often. And I was like, socially awkward. I was like, here's a guy that's talking to me. I don't know him.
And I think Rob and I are very similar like that. We love talking to people. We love talking to different kinds of people.
It wasn't like I was going to
extroverts in this show, and we have the introverts.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, it's totally that. Because I'm like, oh, this girl likes gaming stuff, and we have a house full of games.
If I find out like you game, and as soon as you're like, I need to take you upstairs, I was like,
yeah, because like out of context.
Oh, okay.
Out of context.
You like Dr. Pepper? I love Dr. Pepper.
Out of context. Because all the game stuff is like, you know, in the main area, because in the basement or whatever, in the basement, the table tennis table, and the physical games are down there. But then upstairs is where the museum is. We'll do
like his
like that's where all the
systems,
all the collector's items are, and the systems are like really nice and organized. And like, okay, if you like all the crap we have down here, you're really gonna like the upstairs.
So pretty much what happened with me is, like, you know, I had kids, I got older, and I didn't have that outlet. Like I used to work at a comic book store, I think, and I miss talking to people about the things that they enjoyed
that
doing.
Poor little comic store in Frankfurt.
Oh yeah, well, it's gone now. It's gone. So it was there 20 years, and it's closed now.
And I feel you, because like if Babbage's was around right now and they said, "Hey Rob, do you want to work 1 4-hour shift?" You bet I'll be right there.
See, because I had a lot of fun working at the comic book shop, because I met a lot of really good people there. Like,
this is where you guys have the advantage, though, that the thing that you're looking back on no longer exists, and you can say, "Oh, I miss working at that place." DragonBallToys.com is still there.
Is it hard to look at?
Well, because in working with Action Online, and when I was kind of getting out of it, I just sold them the IP to it, and they just let it.
So it's like SpaceJam.com.
Yeah,
it's the otaku world,
and it's just like, oh.
There's frames.
It breaks my heart to see it. It really does.
My old, like, anime, like, I had a Magic Knight Rares RPG. I had a Sailor Moon RPG. Those websites right now are still in existence.
I had a Street Fighter one, and I had static backgrounds and I would take the anime, take snapshots, and they would be my static backgrounds of all these things. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, I had a great anime website. That website is this website that got me my job, because like I went to interview with this place called DataBeam, and it was like, you know, a local IT company, and gave the guy my resume, and I was like, you know, I was a kid, I had no idea what I was doing, and like, please hire me, and the dude was like, until he saw on my resume this website that was on like UK,
and then he was like,
and he saw the nerdy stuff, and he had no idea what it was, and he was like, yeah, Rob, I really like talking to your technical qualifications are great, but the thing that sold me is you're a big nerd like the rest of us with your anime website. And I was like, yay!
What? Why wouldn't that work for me? Like, I remember when I did frames on my and
Frames, baby.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had password protected so my members could log in and then do their stuff. Like, why didn't I think about this? Just going to somewhere and be like, here's my
I don't think,
yeah, here's
that's
my
how I got my
gonna
main
say.
web design job was through Dragon Ball Toys. Like, look,
I did this.
it speaks for itself, man. Look at my quality.
Does music play when you first log into the website? little construction
gif
dude.
of the-
The problem is, you guys are about 10 years older than me, so
Wait
I was
a minute.
Hold up. No,
you guys were in
no.
college.
We are all in near mint condition.
98, I was still in high school.
That's not too much younger.
That's not much younger
I wasn't
than us.
graduating in 98.
I was getting married. Okay.
See,
That's long
No, it's
gone,
not.
though. That was a long time ago. Okay. So my point was that I miss having conversations with people. And I approached you guys about, doing this kind of show because we all come from different backgrounds of, magazine articles and podcasts and then websites and things like that.
I totally wrote video game technical stuff for IGN magazines and all their stuff. Absolutely.
Right. So I was like, maybe we could put some of our old school knowledge into a show and not really target, our age group or anything, but just the stuff that we grew up with and the stuff that we know and incorporate it into a show again, kind of like our podcast.
Yeah.
Man, I was trying to make it work, and I'm still trying to make it work. It's been a fucking year. I'm not sure if this is the right... But then
When we get that first check, we'll let you know.
and then you were
You
like,
get a check?
And then I said, I need somebody that
can touch base with the younger generation.
with the younger generation, hold on, that actually knows shit that we don't know because we're out of the loop. Like video games and stuff like that, we're still in there. Comic books we still keep up with, but there's a lot of shit out there that I learned through Tina that I'm like, what? Like when two
Anime.
furries are fucking? What is
Right,
that
right.
called?
So, the very first day...
There's a word for that.
So, the very first day that I actually face-to-face met Omar after my wife came home and was like,
I had
"Hey,
so many questions."
We had this little library con, and I was doing a cosplay panel, and for
She
some
was
reason...
dressed up like a Lolita. You know what that is?
yeah.
Of course I know what Lolita is.
Creepy. All right, go ahead.
Wait,
But, for some
thinking the
reason,
Prince
he
song.
was talking, and we got on this conversation about furries, and, I was
who talks to
introducing-
people about furries?
This guy, I have so many questions. Oh my
God.
I
And,
didn't have a
like-
furry friend.
Kigurumis, NMAO kigurumis, and I was like, let me just see how weird of a person I can be to this individual.
She had
test
no
the
idea
waters.
what she was fucking with.
Did you know that he had upside down
Well, my
bucket
wife
naked
was
chick
like,
over there?
look at this picture, it's Higer, and I was like, oh, that's really, really awesome. That's really, really awesome.
So I needed somebody like that. I'm like, oh, Tina, right? Because she's almost our age, but she remembers a lot of the stuff that we grew up with. But she also knows a lot of the shit
so
that
we don't
know.
Yeah.
So a lot of the most of our earlier episodes were our natural reaction to what you were teaching us, like shipping, which I fucking
Tell me
don't
more.
know. What you knew what
what
shipping
is
was.
yiffing?
Yeah, that's it. Yipping. Wait, save it for another episode.
Excuse me, Tina, is that a real word? I mean, a lot of this, you guys no, that's not a thing.
And was it perfect
like-
English?
That's
Wait,
English
that
as
is
a
a
second language thing.
That was perfect. I love how you and I both said the same type show. Is it perfect English?
And that is another thing that we have a lot of difficulty with is when it comes to editing, is that we are comfortable enough with each other to make little jokes like that, like a little things that might make us seem a little
horrible,
racist. But it's just because, especially when you and I get together, it's really bad. So a lot of the cuts that we make aren't because we're fucking up with our knowledge. It's because you and I get carried away with our jokes and we're like, oh, we need to cut that. We're going to come across like assholes.
I will say some of the most offensive things I have ever heard of anyone come out of anyone's mouth that I guess wasn't a professional, right? Have come from your mouth.
Oh.
From us playing Mario Kart.
Oh, Mario Kart.
No. Mario Kart is forgiven because
Yeah.
you will destroy.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
Monopoly,
That-
you will
that doesn't
destroy.
count.
But some of the creative things you've said, I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah, dude. I remember one time driving.
Are you going to say
I was
this?
going to say, how are you going to tell this story?
Okay, so my wife and I were driving to the airport. She was going to drop me off and playing Mario Kart. It was Mario Kart on the DS. 7? Was it 7?
7.
6?
No, it
very
was Mario
first one.
Kart DS was what it was called on the DS.
So I was, I'm trying to get the fucking Star Cup, right?
Yep.
And everybody that's playing Mario Kart is like, oh, the Star
You
Cup.
didn't get that? You suck.
Or Mirror Universe. Whatever it was, I was trying to make it. I was almost there. I'm talking like a fucking nipple hair away from the damn finish line. And fucking Mario comes out of nowhere. Ah! Right? And this was my natural reaction, right? I said, I swear to God, Mario, I'm going to rip your dick off and rape you with it in front of your children.
That's it.
And
That's what it
my
was.
wife was like, what?
And Alicia was like, "What, Daddy?"
No, she wasn't around.
My kids were not around at the time.
No, they would have just repeated.
But
Right.
oh my gosh, man, that game, like, that's probably the worst thing I've said today.
That's
But it
probably-
happened to be a fictional character, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And like, you know, Mario Kart, we have our buddy Keith. The most offensive thing he did, like, he and his mother-in-law were playing, like, the whole family playing Mario Kart.
You don't play that with your mother-in-law.
This is a terrible idea. So, like, again, the stories where Keith was in front, all of a sudden the mother-in-law comes behind, whee! And he says to his mother-in-law, and we all have mothers-in-law, "You dirty damn whore." And after the initial shock of him going, "Oh my God, I just said this to his mother-in-law," she was like, "Okay, it's cool. We're all family." It's fine. So like,
And it's Mario Kart. It's free
Mario
game.
Kart.
Yeah.
And it is.
It's Mario Kart.
The hardest thing I ever had to do was give up. So for Lent, because I'm Catholic, I gave up cursing. So I had to give up Mario Kart for Lent. I can't play that fucking game while I'm giving up cursing. So yeah, that's a lot of. Sometimes most of the editing. Sorry, Andrew. It comes from Rob and I. Just
Not me.
okay, me mainly.
I
You take all the blame.
I generally don't curse that much, but yeah, I sometimes.
Oh,
say
the cursing
things.
doesn't bother me. It's the other offensive languages. We can get rather creative. So
And that's-
other than that, you're not missing out on much of it.
Dan and I try to abstain from any of that.
No, you
going-
don't. You
Oh,
say just
bullshit.
horrible
You're
things
just as
too.
bad as we are.
Oh my God.
This is why I didn't say that.
No, Dan just discovers everything.
Well, I mean, that is my birthright.
And this is where we would cut this out.
Yeah, pretty
Manifest destiny, Dan.
Right.
So we're not really horrible people, but we are horrible to each other sometimes.
Yeah,
But
but
the
it's
thing
love.
is it's us. It's,
us.
who
It's
we
tough
are.
love.
Like we don't act like anybody else during the show. Like
What you see is what you get. Absolutely.
Every now and then we act like we know more than we do.
We mean every now and
cards
then.
on the table. Cards on the
no,
table.
if you ask me, Cole.
I mean, there has been an episode where I'm not going to name names, but
you're talking about most pity.
why are you pointing at me?
That's I don't know. People reading stuff off hidden iPads, things like that. That never happens.
So,
I like how Omar was trying to argue with me about Sylvan families, and he was like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about."
You don't know what you're talking about.
I was like, "Excuse
That's
me."
actually no, but the reason I bring it up is that's been another reason for cuts. It's like, wait a minute, point of order.
so like,
Hang on, look that shit up.
when it comes to technical stuff and video game stuff, I usually can rattle off things right off the top of my head. What processor was in the Genesis? It was the Motorola 68,000. I can usually come with
That's
that
the way
stuff.
your brain works. My brain works like, what issue of X-Men did Mr. Sinister blow up the X-Men?
Boom, I can just come up with that
43.
Stop it.
Things like that. That's
When
the
did
way
Final
our brains
Fantasy
are
7 come
wired.
out? 1997, September 1997. But then there's very specific things like what was the name of the
What is
black
the color of Cloud's pubes?
No one says that.
No, that's not a good example. No, like what's the name of the black guy in Final Fantasy
carpet, that's
13?
your drapes.
Oh gosh, what is the name of the black guy in Final Fantasy 13? The dude with the fro? I have no idea. Shaz.
Barrett.
Chaz. No, not Barrett. See? So I'll be like, yeah, man. And they had this black dude whose name was Cut. Black dude in Final Fantasy 13. Shit. His name was Shaz. I still don't even know if that's actually right. So yeah, like me, like having brain farts because I am of near mint condition. I'm like, yeah, that's another reason for edits.
You're right. Yeah.
Terrible names. Terrible names.
So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to do an episode that was mainly about us and how we all came together and what to expect from the future. Dan, why don't you tell them what we talked about earlier? What to expect from our future episodes?
Content.
About that earlier?
No, I don't remember.
I don't think we
I just
did.
like putting Dan on.
All right.
So Dan, lay out the 3-year plan.
Yeah, so the plan for this is we are very closely following the analytics, you see, and as soon as our cost line and our profit line come anywhere near each other,
We have no profit.
nothing, man.
We make
Profit is-
we make no
they're
money
kind of
on
like
this.
they're parallel
We
lines.
need to find
never-
a way to quit giving away shit and make money. That's the end game.
Well, let's see. That's the thing. So you talking about the love is why we keep doing this. Because one of my
It's
buddies,
all love.
one of my buddies was like, "Near mint condition. How's it doing? Y'all making good money yet?" Not even close. We do this because it's exactly what you said. The reason I signed up for this is because it gives me an avenue to totally geek out and talk about nerdy stuff. It has
Right.
nothing to do with making money. Maybe in 10 years when we have more than like 100
we will
subscribers.
be in like fine condition, maybe. Maybe.
Maybe.
Slow down the booze
Honestly,
drinking.
I just do this so I can come down here and look at the new shit Omar's gotten.
Right.
Because I am
You really do live
'cause I can't-
vicariously through
I
me.
do, because I used to have shelves very similar to this, but they did not survive
The great move
having
of
kids.
'96.
No,
Oh.
no, I mean, I had all that upstairs, and then the kids got that loft, and everything went into boxes for a while, and I've got some shelves now.
I feel like this is the
Your
part
shelves are really nice that you have out. It's
Well,
good
yeah,
stuff.
but
if this
it's
is
like
if this is a
a
book
tiny
that
bit.
somebody's reading, this is the part where the
This is-
reader's
this-
like, wow,
this
Dan's
is-
such a nice guy, and Omar's kind of an ass because he didn't give up anything.
No, this is like Frodo's. This is the fourth ending of Lord of the Rings. We were talking about Frodo going off to the west, but just to see like there's Carnifex here, the shit that I put in my cart and then say,
My kids need a
Memories.
college education.
It's like, yeah, you have awesome toys, but your children, they're done.
And let's face it, we're
gonna get
we're
scholarships like
all
their mother
really busy adults, and so really for some of us, this is the only time we actually sit down
Oh, yeah.
and have these conversations
Absolutely.
without a kid running in being like, "Daddy, I did this." I don't have kids; I have cats. So I mean,
It's the same difference. They destroy
which makes it a
everything.
little weirder for you. In
you
the
put
sense that
everything
they're
in
coming
glass.
Yeah.
And calling you daddy? Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really strange.
It's everything's the same.
No, it's more like puking on everything. So it's like,
Yeah, that's no different in kids.
Yeah,
that's-
that's pretty much the
really?
same.
My
Yeah,
kids never
seriously.
puke. No, my kids aren't pukers.
Oh, okay. Weird. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's all we have, right?
Do we,
You said we couldn't talk about ourselves for more than 30 minutes. I think we went on. Like,
yeah.
for a
we should
little-
talk about ourselves more. I don't know what about
Okay.
that.
All right, second win.
stay tuned for next year's
Oh, and
edition.
if you have ideas for our show, please let us know in the comments, like what you guys want to hear us talk about, or
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. So, like, we have other interests beyond this nerdy things. Like, for example, I really like bourbon. So maybe we can do an episode about bourbon. Or what's something else you like about that's not necessarily geeky?
about women.
I
think that's
am
all of
really,
us.
really
Okay, I'll
enjoying podcasts right now, and my favorite podcast right now is My Favorite Murder, which is really awesome. You guys should check it out.
You know what you should check out is there's this old podcast called About Heroes.
We got to interview Peter Cullen.
Where
Remember
can I
that?
find it?
Twice.
We interviewed Peter Cullen.
Where
We
should
should
I find it?
You should show
I
pictures of Peter Cullen.
I
You
have
get
it
Cullen.
on my computer.
Well,
I will say, okay,
find
so
a way to get it on iTunes.
we're not done talking about it because that is a good story. So we're not. When Dan and I interviewed, because we did have that podcast, we interviewed Peter Cullen.
Oh God,
And-
I know where you're going
Okay,
with this.
so Peter Cullen to us was like our hero, right?
It's like Shigeru Miyamoto.
And if you don't know
Okay.
who Peter Cullen is, he is the voice of Optimus Prime.
And if you can imagine this, Omar and I have somewhat different ways of interacting with folks that whose work we really enjoy. I can't imagine just sitting down at a beer, with a beer and
Hey, how's it going?
Joe Quesada.
Now, see, that's exactly what I have done and would do.
But-
Absolutely.
So
No, I would
it
not.
was BotCon and Omar. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you basically just went up to Peter Cullen and like, "Hey, we've got a podcast. Can we interview you on it?" And this
And
was
you know what
right
he asked?
before
He
the
said,
first
"What's a podcast?" Exactly what I asked. I'm looking for a funny question. That's
Yeah.
what I asked. What is a podcast?
And this was right before the first Michael Bay movie came out, and it was like, yeah, sure, and it was super easy. I don't even think we went through a publicist.
No,
for
we
the
did.
first one,
We went through his publicist.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was
But-
a really cool guy because he said about heroes. I remember he asked me. He's like, "What do you guys interview? Like firemen and police officers?"
Yes, that's what I want to talk.
Gun
to
star heroes.
But so we're sitting there, and it's Omar and his wife Melanie and me around my kitchen table with this mic.
That is the mic.
And we're on Skype with Peter Cullen. And we've been talking to him for probably about half an hour or so. And talking about...
Before you get to that, I just remember how starstruck we were.
all of
Yeah,
them.
What questions did you come up
Well,
with?
no, we had questions. We had questions. We had like
we
our
actually
listeners.
put some homework in.
Yeah, and we
You
asked our
weren't just
listeners
like,
what
"What's your
they.
favorite food?"
When you did the voice Optimus, was it awesome? Oh my god, guys, it was awesome for me. I love the Transformers movie. Can you sign this record? I know you're on Skype. Can you scan it anyway?
We
on your skin.
interacted with our listeners and they wrote in a bunch of questions too.
Yeah.
So I just remember when his voice came on, he was like, "Hello," and we were like, "No, it wasn't anything like. It was like, Mr. Cullen." Do you remember the Transformer? That was cool. No, but it was very Star Trek. Just the look. Melanie was making fun of us. Just me and Dan with this shit grin on our faces, going, It's Optimus Prime, man.
So we've been talking to him for about half an hour, and this is where Omar goes into territory that I'm like, no.
Oh, I remember this.
He's like, and I forget how he phrased it, but he's like, would you do voicemails for us?
Okay, so what I
God.
said was like, has anybody ever approached you to do a voice recording for their cell phones, right? And he was like, no. Man, Omar, and I'm like, you ought to charge people for that. I mean, people, you're with the voice of Optimus Prime. This is Optimus Prime. You've reached Omar, and he's like, you're really putting a bug in my ear, huh? And then he said it.
He said it to you.
Yeah, you've read.
I have.
Yes,
I have.
You've reached Omar. This is Optimus
Prime.
Prime, and I'm over here going, holy shit! It's Optimus Prime. and then he goes around table. He does it for Melanie, and when he gets to Dan, because a lot of people don't know this, but Peter Cullen is also the voice of
Eeyore.
Is this why you're obsessed with Disney?
And so he did Optimus Prime for Omar, and then it gets to me, and he starts talking in Eeyore's voice, and I was like,
Dan, who's a bigger Optimus Prime fan than I am.
And then Dan, being the guy he is, he's not going to ask him to redo it.
Exactly. What would you say?
yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, that was great, but
yeah.
I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's funny, like, because I mean, it was, I don't know, 45 minutes of a Skype call, and that is still like my high point. I've done a lot of shit with this hobby where it's like, how in the world did I get myself into this situation where I'm, sitting there talking to Jim Lee about his workday at Toy Fair, but like that interview was like,
And
we made it.
And we interviewed him again. He decided to come back again.
I know, that was the weirdest part.
And at the time, we wanted to get Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, who did the voice of Megatron. And Frank Welker was kind enough. He wrote me a letter. He was like, hey, thank you very much.
Like a letter?
Yeah, he sent it to my house. He was like, thank you very much, but at this time, I'm really tired of hearing my own voice. I know that doesn't make any sense to you all. It was really nice. And he said, tell my buddy Peter I said hello. And
Respect,
things like that.
sure.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one day we'll get this YouTube channel to that level again. We're gonna get Peter Cullen to sit here and he can sign all my Optimus Prime figures and all your Eeyore toys.
It'll just be a show of Peter Cullen signing things as we hand them to him.
So you want to be that guy?
That'll be the 30-minute show. It's just the assembly line.
No, but we did have a lot of fun doing that, and I wanted to do something very similar to that in a YouTube channel. So that's why this got started.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for including us in
Thank
your
you,
wacky
Omar.
wild vision.
Yeah, man, put it there. That was for all four of us.
Wonder Twin powers activate.
Like we said, the introverts are just like, okay,
I don't want to touch anybody.
No, thank
Where's
you.
my pearl?
Good night.
Peace.
We want you to tell us what you want us to talk about for the next 5,000 episodes.
So we don't have to come up with bullshit episodes like us. Because really, who wants to fucking hear about us?
There's only
right?
like 10 video games out, so like y'all need to give me some feedback, please.
You guys are like old.
Up, you're not that much.
Yeah, you act like you're old. You look like you're 10 years old.
So, like, subscribe, etc., 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 etc. Thank you.
Share. We love you. Thank you very much.
And you're still watching. Don't know why, but thank you.
You made us who we are today.
No, that was our parents. That was our parent and God.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you all.
recording.
Please stop the tape. Is there tape in that camera?
How old are you?
Tape.